There's a reason why a bunch of millionaires are in real estate. It's such a no-brainer. Like you just put it out right there. 0% down to do all of that appreciation. Well, so if you get even a $500,000 property at a 5% appreciation, which is low for San Diego, right? Dude, that's $25,000 off of what? If you do that for stocks right now, you have to do 101 to get 25,000. Dude, you have to get a 2x on a freaking $25,000 investment.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of The Report. Today, I got someone doing big things in the no money down VA space. And as a matter of fact, you can do this as well if you are not a military vet. But he's helping a lot of people but get into the real estate investing game, start owning real estate, start building true wealth with no money down. I got my man, Josh Villareal. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rich. Appreciate you having, dude. First of all, this studio is so sick, man. I'm
Dude,
inspired right now. I want
I
to build
appreciate you,
something out
man.
like it.
You should, man. You should. I know you just moved up to Orange County, but you 100% should build out a cool studio and start your own podcast, man. I always say it's one of the hacks as an entrepreneur, as a real estate investor, to have a podcast.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
definitely got to get one.
yeah. It's the hack in the sense that like you get to build these connections and relationships with so many amazing people. Most of these people are a lot smarter than I am, and that's quite frankly how I learned a lot of the game.
Oh yeah, I love learning from other people.
Yeah, 100%. I saw you at the Laker game with Carlton Dennis this past playoff game. I'm a big Laker fan as well, man. You think they're gonna turn around or what?
Ah, I would hope so. As Shannon Sharp would say, UFC, KFC, Lakers in five. So
Ooh,
hopefully.
that's really good. And I saw the suite. You got a suite for the freaking Laker game. You just got a suite picked up and invite all your friends or what?
Yeah, so once the dates dropped for the Laker game, I saw it on my phone, and then there was only one private suite left. I was like, dude, I've never been to a Lakers playoff before. Got to pull the trigger. So I invited some friends, and then we made it happen.
That's such a dope experience, man. I love that. I love that. Cool, dude. So, I think a lot of folks out there, and you mentioned this before we started recording, like only 6% of military members have even used the VA loan. But the idea to get into real estate, no money down, and buy, not just a single family, but potentially up to a fourplex house hack and build real wealth, long-term wealth, but to get in the game with no money down, I think is such a big lever that a lot of folks don't even know that they have at their disposal, myself included. I'm not a vet, but two of my first, they're short-term rentals today, but two of my first real estate deals that I still own today, I got for no money down through Navy Federal Credit Union when I was still working with the FAA as an air traffic controller. And if you listen to this, people might be asking, hey, do you need to be a vet to qualify for a Navy Fed no money down loan? And no, you don't. I was not a vet. There's ways to get in, and as long as you have a checking account with Navy Federal, you don't have to be a veteran to still take advantage of the no money down program. And so I just think that, generally speaking, a lot of Americans out there and a lot of people listening to this might not even know it's a possibility. Why do you think that is?
It's really just the education and being around it. So there's a reason why only 6% of military members have used it. And it's most likely because they've only heard it twice in their life. One is when they went to boot camp and they said 5 seconds about it. And the other one is when they're transitioning out. So really, it's just the education part, and they also don't know it's possible. For me, example, right? When I first looked into the real estate game, I was like, dude, I have to put 20% down using the VA loan. It's like I don't know if I could do that. But then I just had to stumble upon this information. I was like, no, you don't need any money down. It's like there's no way they're gonna give me hundreds of thousands of dollars for nothing down. But then it was actually true. And I actually bought my first property, $800,000 duplex here in San Diego for only $6,500 out of pocket. That's including closing costs and everything.
Yeah. And I do hear some people that are like more like the Dave Ramsey type of crowd where they might argue, well, why would you want to, overextend yourself and get into a no money down loan? Like we like to put down 20, 25% and have some equity. But, I would challenge those folks and say, well, if you get into a deal with no money down, one, you have no none of your own money in the game. And assuming you hold this thing for 5, 10, 15 years, you're going to make money. And that's an infinite return on investment if you don't have any of your own money in the deal. But number two, I would also challenge you by saying I would prefer to go find a deal that I can buy below market value. That's 20%, 25% below market value because I put in the time and I put in the work to get knowledgeable and educated on how to go find a good deal. Now I can buy a deal with no money down through the VA program or through this Navy Fed no money down program for a civilian. And I can get in with no money down, but because I found a good deal that's 25% below market value, I have 25% equity baked in, but I still got no money, none of my own money in the deal, giving me an infinite return on investment with 25% equity.
See, the beautiful part is that is just on buying the property. You're not even talking about cash flowing yet, right? So at least what we do in our consulting company is we love the strategy of house. So there's house hacking, right? And then I actually coined a strategy called super house hacking. Have you ever heard of it?
No, what's super house hacking?
So super house hacking is basically you still get a like the basic house hack where you buy a 2 to 4 unit, you live one unit and rent out the other units, right? But super house hacking is when you take it to another level.
Okay,
man.
what's that?
So it's when you rent instead of buy the unit, it's buy the room now, and you are living in one of the rooms. So your cash flow goes from maybe like $100 to like $2,000 a month, because that's exactly what happened to me. That's how I found out about super house hacking. So essentially, it's house hacking, but combined with an awesome strategy called co-living. Yeah, which is exploding right now.
Yeah. One of my buddies actually, he's been doing this for quite some time. He's a shout out to my buddy Pete. I actually went to college with him, but the dude's literally done this with FHA 3.5% down. And people like when he first started doing this would call him crazy, like, man, that's a lot of work. You know, you get all these roommates. But he would literally do these 3.5% down FHA loans, live in the property for a couple of years, have all these roommates, and then he would move out and he would rent out the master bedroom. And then he would go do another 3.5% down and repeat the process. And through that, I mean, this dude has been able to build a portfolio of like 4 or 5 properties, and he does this co-living thing with all of them. And now he's at a place where he's got these assets that have appreciated over the last, 6, 7 years. And, he's been able to refi those deals out, pay off all his student loan debt. And he's been able to build, a 7-figure net worth simply by doing this strategy.
Yeah, that's why I always like to talk about how the VA loan is one of the most powerful wealth building tools ever created for military members, because you can do things like that. So what I like to talk about is 3 rentals in 3 years, and that's super doable, because all you got to do is just buy the property for 0% down, move on to the next, and then let's say that you use all your full entitlement on the first property. Okay, how are you going to use the VA loan again? Well,
Refi out, right?
Well, refi out, but with that, you also need 20%, right? So maybe the first year, you're not going to get that full 20%. But what people don't know is they kind of have a second VA loan, which is exactly what you're talking about with the Navy Federal Credit Union.
Yes.
Dude, so with that, man, you're getting me excited, Rich. So you got that first one, the VA loan, right? And then this is what civilians could do as well. People that are not in the military, is that they can use Navy Federal Credit Union to get so there's the military choice for the military, but then they also have the HomeBuyers Choice, which is the 0% down. So now once you use all 3 of those, dude, you got all 3 for 0% down. No PMI as well, which is beautiful. And then now you could get into the FHA 203K, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff you could do.
And the cool thing about this is when you're renting out your home, you can use the rental income to offset your DTI when the underwriters underwrite you and qualify you for another loan, right?
Oh, yeah. So it's 75%. So
75% of the income.
Yeah, 75% of the gross income for the rent. So let's say that you're living one unit and the other 3, you bought a 4-plex, you can use 75% of that rent to help you qualify. So sometimes getting a 4-plex is easier than buying a single family home. Yeah.
This is interesting, dude. So I'm curious if you are going to go single family, because as far as I'm aware, I believe the Navy Fed no money down product is only for like a primary residence single family. I did use it for a property that had a ADU, but we just called it a like a not a, I'm trying to think what was it. What was the name of it? We called it like a basically an office.
Yeah, yeah,
You see what I'm
yeah.
saying? It's a
Hmm.
separate structure. It's an ADU, but we just called it kind of like, hey, it's going to be an office and it's going to be like a guest house type of thing, but it's going to be used as an office as an extension of the primary residence. And they approved it. And now that property, I lived there for a little bit, set it up, and now it operates as an Airbnb. But anyhow, I'm curious if you're going to buy a single family, what is like generally speaking, what should one look for if you want to buy one that's going to cash flow under the co-living model?
Well, just like any real estate deal, you have to look at the numbers and the demand, right? So what I like to do is look at job growth. So if job growth leads to population growth leads to rental demand and appreciation. So it all starts with the growth of that side, or the business side, and then after that, we like to do this little thing called test listings to see if it's going to cash flow per bedroom the way that you want, because some cities is different than the others. So this is actually a hack that no one really talks
Okay.
about right here.
Let's hear the hack.
Okay. So a lot of people's objection or fear is, oh dude, I can't rent out my property. I don't know if I could rent it out. But what if you already knew and you already had a wait list before you even buy the property? So what we do is sometimes we go on Craigslist, Facebook, and put a general listing and saying, "Hey, we have a wait list for this property. We're wondering if you would buy it at this price during these times, X, Y, and Z." And then if you only have one inquiry for the past week, that's a no-go. But what if you have 30? Just like what we do in San Diego, we get 30 or 100 in one
Yeah.
day.
So not only are you going to find renters, but you can probably push the pricing up a little bit more.
Yeah. So now you have a good gauge of realistically where your cash flow will rely on. And then in terms of co-living, we like to find 4 bedrooms or more with a bunch of living area. So co-living, if you guys don't know, it's when you turn unutilized space into cash cows. So you turn a living room and or a dining room
An
into
additional bedroom.
yeah, additional
Yeah.
bedroom. Like for example, I paid $900 to put up a pressurized wall, and we rented out for $1,500 a month, bro.
Damn.
That's a infinite return right
Yeah.
there.
And I mean, okay, so my Scottsdale property, it's an Airbnb, but when I bought that property, 7,600 square feet, only 5 bedrooms. The guest house out there had a 4-car garage that already had central air. It already had electricity, had a level slab. And so I knew going into that property, I'm like, there's a lot of hidden bedrooms in here. And so I converted it from a 5 bedroom into an 8 bedroom. We added another full bath. So it's 8 bed, 8 bath now. And then we added a gym, which could have been another bedroom. That could have been a ninth bedroom. And we added a speakeasy, which could have been a 10th bedroom, right? And so I think there's a lot of properties out there if you look for like larger square footage and not a large bedroom count to where you can probably add a bunch of rooms. There's hidden rooms in there. And some of these living rooms might be massive, and that's an extra 2 bedrooms right there.
Oh yeah, like there's a lot of money if you look for it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. What markets do you like when you do this model?
So the markets that we like is anywhere that has a good amount of job growth. So, for example, we're actually buying in the process of buying 2 properties in Orlando, Florida. Hopefully, I know you have a big following. They're not all gonna go to Orlando, Florida
Yeah.
now, right? But Orlando, Florida, they just built this humongous park. It's the biggest park ever since California Adventures was created. So it's a big deal.
Okay.
And guess what they need a lot of over there? A lot
More
of,
rentals?
well, not a lot of rentals, so that they could get more supply for
Sure.
the people that work there. Yeah,
I
yeah,
see what you're saying.
yeah.
Question for you. So if you use the VA loan, does it need to be in the market that you live in? Because it's primary residence, right? So it should be.
Yes, 100%. They do have to live there. And there are some caveats to it because the VA loan is actually one of the most flexible loans that you can get as a primary residence, because military people always travel, or their families moving around, or they PCS, right?
What's PCS?
Permanent change of station.
Okay.
So that is when you're in San Diego And then out of nowhere, after you bought the property 6 months later, you got to go to Virginia Beach, right? And essentially, like, dude, you didn't live there for the full 12 months. That's illegal. Like, dude, no. Like, they get it. Like, you're in the military, you have to move around. And then the cool thing is, you can actually get another VA loan, not even waiting for the full 12 months. So essentially, in a little over a year, you can, if you buy a multifamily here and a
Uh-huh.
multifamily there, you can have 4 or 6 units
Do
just like
you
that.
do you need a refi out of that first VA loan? You don't.
No, it
Really?
just depends on how much entitlement you have left. So,
What does entitlement
so
mean then?
entitlement is so as of 2025, it's $806,550. And essentially, is you can get as many properties as you want, like separate properties, as long as it's below that 806,000. But anything above that, let's say it's 100 grand more, you would have to pay 25% of that extra 20 or
Oh.
100 grand. Yeah, yeah.
So how does it work in like area like San Diego for say? You buy a fourplex out here, you're probably gonna spend closer to like 2 million.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it possible to get a fourplex in San Diego for no money down?
Oh yeah, dude. I have a $1.6 million triplex here
Really?
for with the VA loan.
So okay, when you said the entitlement was 800 something, that's not for certain markets.
So it's interesting. That's why there needs to be a lot more education for the VA loan space. Is there's the entitlement and the actual loan limit. They're two separate things. So the actual loan limit, there's no loan limit. They took it off in 2020 actually. And so essentially, if you're using your full entitlement in one property, so your first time using it, and you're using all the way up to the 806, you could actually go over it. So for mine, back then, the first property I bought was 800,000, right? But then the entitlement was like 680. Like, how did that happen? Well, there's no loan limit.
Got it. Okay, okay. So if you did one deal at 1.5 million, let's just say you're going to cap out your entitlement of 800 and a change. You're not eligible for another one, but after 12 months, could you be?
After 12 months, no. So you can only have one entitlement, but you could recycle it over and over again. So that's why we
How do you
using
recycle it?
the cash out refinance or
Oh, so you just refi out of the VA loan.
refi out of the VA loan. Yeah,
Got it.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, that makes a lot of
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Okay, that's good stuff there. So I'm curious, with the VA program, what do you think the best play is for someone that maybe lives here in San Diego, let's just say, and they're like, okay, Josh, I want to buy three of these things in the next 3 years, but that one first deal was 1.5, and now they're capped out. What's the next play after that?
It's exactly what we talked about earlier.
The Navy Fed no money down program.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
dude, I love that thing so
yeah.
much. First one is the military choice loan. That's specifically to military members, and they have a much better rate than the HomeBuyers Choice, which is a 0% down for the civilian. But the cool part is you use the VA loan, and now after that you use the military choice, then you use the home buyers. But if if the numbers don't work out the way that you want, or you're having a bunch of equity in the first property that you bought, you can also use the 5% down conventional. What a lot of people don't know is 5% conventional is often more better than a 3.5% FHA because there's extra fees that people don't talk about with the FHA loan.
Mm. So I'm gonna take it a step further. So one thing that I think is pretty cool, and I'm curious actually if you teach this at all in your consulting business, but the no money down loan, live in it for a little bit while you set it up, you convert it into a short term rental, and then you get a cost seg study, and then take the depreciation because it's an active business to not only offset the cash flow that property spits out, but also offset the income that you would make as a veteran, or maybe you're working in another field because there's no money down Navy Fed loan does apply to you. I used two of them when I was working as air traffic control, and to your point about, hey, does it need to be a primary residence? Because I hear people say all the time, oh, like primary residence loan, you have to live there for 12 months. It's illegal. The loan docs I signed, they just said, hey, at the date of this signing, you have every intention to live at the property as a primary residence. Now, what happens after? Like people know, like people go through divorces, people get uprooted from their jobs, people have to relocate. And so as long as you're making your debt service payments, I mean, this is not prison. As long as you're making your debt service payments, they can't force you to live at that property. Now, that's why I think as long as you have every intention to live at the property, when you sign those loan docs and you live in the property for a little bit, I don't think there's anything that they're really going to care. They're not going to come after their borrower that's making
Yeah.
their debt service payments online.
So in the VA guideline 26-7, it actually states that you just need to intend to live in the property within 60 days of owning it.
Yes.
There's nothing about 12 months. So those are all bank overlays. And again, when you're signing the loan docs, it's always about intent to live there as well.
So, anyways, the no money down to the Airbnb model. And by the way, you can also negotiate the seller to cover your closing costs. One of the easiest ways to negotiate the seller to cover your closing costs is, once you agree on price, let's just say you agree on, 1 million, closing costs are going to be a couple points. You can say, hey, I'll give you 1,020,000. Okay. But I want a $20,000 credit towards my closing costs. That's the same net effect to the seller. And now you have this credit to cover your closing costs. That's going to save you the closing costs right there.
So for our consulting firm, we use that strategy almost every single time. This is how we effectively almost get paid to buy properties using the VA loan. So we do that. We do the concessions. We do everything that we can so that our clients don't pay a single dime at closing.
That's so good. Yeah, one of my buddies that I used to buy real estate with, one of my old partners, his name's Mike. But anyways, Mike had access to VA loan and he had his license, realtor's license.
Oh.
So he would represent himself on the buy side, no money down VA loan, buy the property and get paid a credit for the closing costs and get paid his buyer's commission. So he would literally walk away from the deal, money in his pocket to buy real estate. It's crazy.
Dude, and then now you can use that money to reinvest. Let's say you want to do a co-living. Now you have the money to rehab it. Now you're cash flowing day one.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you guys teach the Airbnb model in your program?
No. The two main ones that we teach is the co-living method and ADUs. I love ADUs.
ADUs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, ADUs is how I made a lot of money by my first time. So after I rehabbed the property with the $800,000 duplex that I bought, I got a $96,000 check back. I was like, this is great. What am I gonna do with it? And then before buying the property, I saw that there was a garage, a 2-car garage that I was like, man, this could be a great ADU. And I found someone. I ran into some challenges of working with a contractor for the first time like that. But I only spent $72,000 out of that 96, and that $72,000 became $323,000 in equity, and I got a cash out refinance check back. And man, I had some fun with that check. I reinvested it in real estate.
Nice. Hey guys, we just got another boutique hotel under contract in my hometown of San Clemente, California, located not too far from the beach. This will make 5 boutique hotels in our real estate investment fund. So if you are looking for passive income and tax benefits, visit summerscapital.com/invest to book a free call with my team. Again, that's summerscapital.com/invest to book a free call with my team. Now back to the show. So tell me about some of the real estate deals you own today. Give me a snapshot of what you own today.
Yeah, so it's less now because we kind of rolled it into something bigger. So I have 2 properties here in San Diego. One's a 4-unit cottage, and then the other one is the 3-unit that we're talking about right now. And then the other one is a 49-unit development that we're doing right now using the Complete Communities play, which I know that you're kind of familiar with it.
Yeah,
as well,
that's
right?
very cool. What neighborhood is that one in?
In North Park.
North Park. Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, that one is that one we've been working with that one for a little over 18 months and has been really, it's a lot of work. Development is no joke, man.
Are you guys already in the build out phase or are you waiting for entitlement and permits?
So we're in our 3rd round of revisions and this is the final round. Like everything is good to go. All the T's are crossed, I's are dotted. And now it's just waiting for the permits to come in and then we can start building.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of cool pocket neighborhoods out here in San Diego, and ADU play is big out here. I always say if you're gonna do ADU play,
Yeah.
do it in a more expensive neighborhood because the cost of build, relatively speaking, is
It's
going
the
to be the same
same.
whether it's inland in a more affordable neighborhood or if it's on the coast. And so, for me, I'd rather do it in an area where you're going to get a lot more upside for the same amount of work.
Oh yeah, ADUs is my one of my favorite plays. One, it's a cash flow play. It's one of the only ways to cash flow now in a high interest rate market. And then the other one is, dude, straight up equity, bro. Like
What do you mean by that?
in terms of the money that you put in, let's say what is it right now? 150,000 to do an ADU. Uh
Oh, the equity that you would force.
yeah, you force that equity.
Yeah. Generally speaking, I think you can build ground up for, 250, 300 a foot. Now you do garage conversion, that significantly gets reduced.
That's what we like to look for. That exactly, right? So garage conversion is usually 50% less. So back then it was 150 for a ground up, maybe 175. Mine was only 72,000 because
Damn,
the
72.
roofing was there, the insulation was there, the foundation was already there. What else you got to do? Just build it out.
Hmm. Yeah, it's not bad. I'm doing a garage conversion out in Linda Vista. That's the no money down Navy Fed that I'm talking about. Single family, 3 bedroom with the JADU. We're gonna do an ADU and convert the garage to an ADU. So that'd be 3 units. And so I'm gonna probably do it in the wintertime for that one when the Airbnb season kind of slows down. But dude, the no money down product is one of the best ways to get in the game. And there's so many ways to like parlay it afterwards. If you want to turn it into an Airbnb, you want to build ADUs. But it is I don't it might be the most powerful investment vehicle in the world because let's talk about it real quick. No money down. And so you don't really have a ton of skin in the game. So you already have a high return on investment moving forward. And then you have all the appreciation long term. You're going to have the principal pay down, right? So people are living in the property paying rent, or you're renting it out as an Airbnb. They're paying the loan down. And then you got cash flow. And the fifth is you got all the tax benefits. If you operate as an Airbnb, you get a cost seg study. Now you get all those tax benefits. You're not going to pay taxes on the cash flow it spits off. And you can use those tax benefits to offset your active stream of income and essentially, potentially, pay no taxes with your day job too.
Yeah, isn't it funny how there's a reason why a bunch of millionaires are in real estate. It's such a no-brainer. Like you just put it out right there. 0% down to do all of that appreciation. Well, so if you get even a $500,000 property at a 5% appreciation, which is low for San Diego, right? Dude, that's $25,000 off of what? If you do that for stocks right now, you have to do 101 to get 25,000. Dude, you have to get a 2x on a freaking $25,000 investment.
Hmm. Yeah, it's hard to find that in especially right now in the way the stock market's going.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm rooting for some more volatility in the stock market, at least for the remainder of this year, because I think we're acquiring right now, and I think that some more deals will shake loose, hopefully, and we're playing kind of long term game with all the stuff that we buy. So, 10-year time horizon, and so for me, I'm rooting for some more deals to shake loose, and quite frankly, I think this year will continue to be a good buying opportunity year. We're starting to see some stuff shake loose
Oh,
in the
nice.
marketplace. So we'll see. Regarding the the no money down stuff and all the San Diego stuff, I think it's a good play. Now you can do this in any market in the country, right?
Oh, yeah. You can do it in all 50 states.
Yeah, I like that. I like that, dude. So one thing you mentioned at the beginning is only 6% of military members are taking advantage of the VA loan. I mean, lack of education. We're talking. Same thing with professional athletes, right? They get into the NBA, NFL. There's not a lot of education on how to invest your money, and so I think that's underutilized as well. But that's shocking to me. 6% of military members are not utilizing a VA loan. Home ownership rate in America is a lot higher than that. What is it? I'm gonna look this up right now. Home ownership rate in America, I think it's closer to like 60%
It's pretty high. It's a lot
rate
higher than
in
people think.
America. 65.7% of households in America own their homes and 34.3 rent. And so to think that 6% of military members have used the VA loan, that's really low.
It is really low. And the thing that sucks is some of them do still buy properties, but they use the FHA, they use the conventional. because a lot of people really don't know how to, like real estate agents or even loan officers don't know too much about the VA loan. And there often you would always hear people say, "Yeah, I didn't use it because they said that it wasn't competitive enough. There's too many hurdles." Like, dude, no, it's a super simple loan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the biggest win that you've seen in your like out of all the people that you help with the VA loan?
Uh, bro.
Have you seen anyone come in there and just literally just start tearing up a bunch of properties?
So there's a bunch of wins that I love. There's two that I want to share. Well, one of them is more of a mindset thing. So when my team and I were on a call with this guy, uh, he's in the Marines, and while we were on the call, all we heard was a bunch of popping noises, right? And then I was like, okay, hey man, like what's that noise in the back? There's something. Is there something going on? He was like, yeah, um, yeah, we're getting bombed right now. I'm here in the Middle East.
Damn.
I'm like, oh, dude, is everything okay? Like, we could do this another time. Like, we're here for you, right? And then he's like, to be honest, Josh, I'm really motivated to get a deal done. Like, willing to do whatever it takes. I was like, okay, as long as if you feel like you're safe, I will do everything in my power to get you the best deal possible with my team, right? And then, dude, a little over 90 days later, this guy owns a property while being in the Middle East.
Mm.
Amazing. One of the best stories, because if you think about all the excuses this guy could have had, I'm in the Middle East. I'm getting bombed right now. I'm active duty. I'm not even in the same country.
Yeah.
This guy did everything.
Mm.
So that's one of my favorite stories. The other one is there's this guy. His name is JJ. A lot of people don't know as well is that there's a rehab loan for the VA loan.
Really? I didn't know that. Tell me
Yeah.
about that.
So, dude, so this one is super cool. So there used to be a rehab loan for a long time, but last year they changed it up to be a lot more flexible. So you could still, are you familiar with like the 203K
I've
loan?
heard of it.
Okay,
Yeah, I've
so
heard
it's
of it.
similar. It's very similar. So the VA will help you buy the property itself, but also give you money for the rehab. Before it was only like 50 grand, and you can only do like flooring, paint, something simple. But now you could do full on construction stuff. You could do additions to it. So JJ was one of our first clients to try out the VA rehab loan, and he made $140,000 within
Damn.
like 100 days working with us.
Wow.
Yeah. So and he's building an ADU with the VA's money. So this guy was truly $0 out of pocket to he's supposed to be making around $400,000 with nothing out of his pocket.
Damn. What's the name of this loan product?
So it's just a VA rehab loan. Nothing
VA
crazy.
rehab loan.
Yeah.
And the max proceeds for the rehab they give you is what?
So there is no max
There's no
proceeds
max.
now. So
But
as
you
long
can
as
say,
you
hey, I want to build
financially,
an ADU, and they'll include that as part of the rehab.
depending on the bank.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of caveats to it, but if you talk to the right bank, it is definitely doable. And that is a game changer. I think he got a loan for $200,000 extra on top of the purchase price.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really big time right there. Are there any other like loan products within this space that are unique?
So the VA loan specifically, I could talk to that one. So there's the one-time closed construction loan. So that one is a super cool loan as well. Imagine the VA paying for your dream home is specifically of how you want it. So they will buy the land. The VA will buy the land. They will pay for the designers, the architects, the builder, and then after the 12-month period, they're going to give you that beautiful 30-year mortgage at the VA loan interest rate.
Mm.
Beautiful. And the cool part is if you're an investor, you can build 4 units, and that's where you build that equity. 12 months time, especially in the market that we're in, very low supply, very high demand. That's a good amount of equity you're building right there.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Is that a new loan product?
No, it's been around. Again, people just don't know about it.
Yeah. So what's the name of that one?
A one-time closed construction.
One-time closed construction.
Yeah, yeah.
Damn. And so I'm curious, like when you get a VA loan, I've never got one, of course. I'm not a military member or a
Hmm.
vet. Are these funded by local regional banks, or are these Fannie Freddie conforming? Like who does these
Who
loans?
actually funds them?
Yes.
So they're your regular institution, like oh, what's I forgot what the banks are, but essentially what the VA does is they're the ones that uh back the loan just in case
You default.
yeah. So the VA actually backs 25% of the loan. So if you default,
Got it.
they get to pay the 25%. So
Got
of
it.
course all the banks are like, yeah,
Yeah, I'll
let's
do
do
it.
it. We got
Sure.
guaranteed 25% if anything happens.
Got it. Okay. Okay. And the VA is backed by federal government, military, and all that stuff.
Exactly.
I love that, man. That's good stuff right there. You got a few and by the way, I suggest all the listeners to go shoot Josh a follow on Instagram at Josh Villareal. But you got some posts here, some content that got a lot of engagement. And I'm gonna go through and just read through a couple of these. So one of them you said got a ton of engagement. You said having a dual income household is a financial cheat code. You can stack your partner's cash and secure a rental property. What do you mean by this?
So when you have two incomes, dude, there's so much you could do with it. One, so the biggest thing, which was all the engagement, was a lot of people don't want to live below their means. If they have dual incomes, they want to spend double the money. That's what usually happens. So if you're smart with it and you're thinking long term, living on one of the incomes, you could reinvest. Let's say it's 50,000 and 50,000. Nothing crazy. That's pretty much the average income in America right now, right? It's a little bit less than that. But yeah, 50,000, you could definitely live on that with all the food, your shelter and everything. But the other one, $50,000 to buy a property, that's a $200,000 property somewhere. And with $200,000 property is what we're doing in Orlando. The properties that we're buying is between 200 and 350,000. And from there, we're getting a 20% return. So that's not only equity, that's cash flow. That's since it's a rental property now, you could take off that depreciation as you want as well. There's so many things. And then guess what? That's only your first year. What about the second year? What about the third year? And that's when you start stacking those chips and really win this game.
Yeah, rent. I mean, one thing that people don't realize is rents go up over time. If you study the rents since 1940 in America, they always go up, and they rarely go down. You know, we did see some negative rent growth in the last few years due to the high rate environment, and especially in some of these markets like Phoenix. But generally speaking, over the long term, rents always go up. Debt service typically stays fixed, right?
Mm-hmm.
These VA loans are what, 30-year fixed product?
Yeah.
Got it. So I think that's a big hack right there. You got another video that says, you said how to buy a house for less than an iPhone 15. I'm sure that one did pretty well.
Yeah.
Give us the rundown, just quick step by step of how you would go and buy a property through the VA loan for less than the cost of an iPhone.
Okay. So first, you need to work with a good team. Without the team, that's not going to happen.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
How do you set up the team?
So set up the team is first one is your loan officer. You need to figure out how much you're qualified for, and from there, you also so here's a hack for the people that want to get a good.
Give us all the hacks.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. So the hack is ask them what the 26-7 is for the VA loan. If they don't know what it is, then move on to the next person. So
What is the 26-7?
so the 26-7 is is the VA lending handbook. It's a pamphlet on the va.gov website. It's 600 pages and it has everything that you need to know about the VA loan. And guess what? 98% of these loan officers, the VA loan officers, don't even know what it is. So that's why there's so much disruption that needs to happen in the VA loan space.
Got it.
Uh,
So don't work with a lender that's never heard of the 26-7.
Yeah,
That's what you're saying?
that's an easy hack.
Okay.
So first from there, and then next find a real estate agent. Talk to as many as you can, and after that you start finding the properties. First you have the 0% down VA loan, so you don't have to put a down payment. So the rest is on the closing costs. The closing costs you could use, one is the lender credits, right? But also the real estate agent can actually pay for all your closing costs if you want. But of course, that's not going to happen, or it's very hard to happen. in the real world. So maybe give you a couple $1,000 from there. And then the rest is asking the seller for some seller credit. So, hey, you need to fix this door. You got to fix this. Or, hey, if you want this deal to happen, um, you could actually give give the seller a little bit more than what he's asking for, which what you mentioned earlier. So if you have a $500,000 property, you just offer 515, right? So effectively, the seller would get the whole 500,000, and then the 15,000 would just go back to you for all the closing. So effectively, $0 or less than iPhone 15.
Yeah, and another good strategy, I like that, by the way. Another good strategy is, generally speaking, if you get through the home inspection, and there's some expensive items that come up, rather than getting, let's just say it's going to cost you 20K to replace a roof, rather than getting a 20K discount in the price, just ask for a 20K credit, because now this is going to reduce your money down, and it's a way to kind of finance the 20K that you would put in the roof. And so that's another strategy that seems to work pretty well, especially in a lower interest rate environment. I love that, man. I love that. That's a big hack right there. Okay, so you got another one right here. This government bill. So you said this government bill will now pay you 25K for you to buy a home, down payment towards Equity Act Biden. Is that something that's still in effect?
No, it is
Okay.
not in effect. The Biden is now out of office, and that bill is still in a standstill. But essentially, he was trying to give every single person buying for the first time $25,000.
Damn.
That was it.
And that actually was a thing for quite some time, huh?
Was a thing. It was still a bill, but yeah, it didn't go all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm just thinking takeaways right now of this episode. So I'm thinking, number one, the no money down real estate play is a real thing. No money down VA loan. You can stack 3 loans. You said this no money down VA loan, then roll into the no money down Navy Fed loan. What was the name of that one?
Military choice.
Military Choice. And then the third one would be was it the second home mortgage?
It's a HomeBuyers Choice.
HomeBuyers Choice mortgage.
Yeah.
So you can basically essentially do 3 loans, back to back to back. You said you call it 3 properties in 3 years for no money down. That's a huge hack. And then another takeaway is you said, hey, you can do what's called co-living and rent by the room, which is even better than house hacking. And if you do like a triplex or fourplex and do co-living in all 3 or 4 of those, it's a way to supercharge the cash flow. And then there's a VA rehab loan. And then you got there was one more loan product that includes renovation money. Is that the VA rehab loan? There's something else you
that's
said.
the VA rehab loan, and we talked about the one-time closed construction loan.
It's so crazy. And then negotiate your seller credits.
Yes.
And then make sure that you get into an area. What was the hack? You said certain areas like Orlando. What was the thing with Orlando again?
Well, all it is it's hiring demand.
That's right.
You just got to go where people have jobs.
Yeah. Yep. Go into markets where there's positive employment growth and positive population growth. Don't go into areas like Detroit or Cleveland, although you can still make some money in Cleveland. But I would prefer to go into areas like Cincinnati, which has a better population growth, employment growth. I never want to go into areas with negative or declining population growth because, like you said, real estate's hyper-local. It's all about supply and demand. Any last things to add here?
No. The biggest thing that I'm doing right now is just trying to educate as many military members as possible and trying to spread the word for the VA loan.
I love it. Josh, I appreciate you coming on, dropping a ton of game. Where can the folks get in touch with you if they want to learn more about your No Money Down program and get involved in how they can do it themselves as well?
Yeah. So anyone can DM me at Josh Villareal. I answer my DMs. So yeah, it's Josh Villareal on all handles.
There it is. He's Joshua Villareal, always dropping heat in Laker fans. I'm Rich Summers. Listeners, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.